Okay, so I'm going through some of these answers here, make sure you've got them. So look at the first two. You've got a radius of 2, and so you put the equation in x minus 0, y minus 0 equals 2 squared. The second one, you've got a center of 3, negative 5, so remember, it's always the opposite of what's in there. So if it's a positive 3, then it goes in here as negative 3. If it's a negative 5, it goes in as a positive 5. And then the distance across the center to that point is 11. Okay, so let's move down here. So I also have an answer here. The center is 0, 0 with a radius of 13. So what I did want to do is this one here where it says what is the center and the radius. Okay, so remember the process is this where you have to isolate the x terms, leave a space, and the y terms, leave a space, and then move the constant to the other side and add 2 spaces. All right, so remember the trick to this one is you take the middle number here. What's half of that? Half is 1. 1 squared is 1. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. Then middle number here is negative 4. Half of that is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So then this always factors into whatever that half the middle number was, squared. This will factor into whatever half of that middle number is, squared. And then you add everything on the right and you should get 16. So that would tell you that the center will be at negative 1, positive 2, and the radius is the square root of 16, which is 4. Okay, so hopefully this is making sense. Let's keep going down here. Write a general equation of a circle that is tangent to the x-axis with a center located at 4, negative 6. So what we need to do is sort of graph what that's looking at. All right, so 4, negative 6 is about down here. Okay, and it says that the circle is tangent to the x-axis. So the x-axis is up here. So what we need to do is sort of imagine a circle. It's tangent to the x-axis. So I'm just going to draw my circle very poorly. There. Tangent means it touches in only one point. Okay, just like that. And the rule is a tangent is going to be perpendicular to that point of tangency. So right there, my radius, if I'm going from up here, which is at 0, all the way down to negative 6 in the y direction, that means my radius is 6. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So then when you put it together, you have x minus 4 squared and y plus 6 squared equals 6 squared. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so let's try the other one over here. Pretty straightforward. We've got a center, which is going to be at 12, negative 60, and a radius, whatever the square root of that is, 20. Okay, keep going down here. Change colors. Okay, so the equation of the circle with a center of 0, 0, and a point on the circle at negative 3, 0. So here's a point on the circle. So that means if that's a point on the circle, that radius is going to be 3. So I'm just going to kind of go out in all directions, 3 here. And so I know my circle is going to look something like that. Okay, and so the radius is 3, so the equation is going to be x minus 0 squared, y minus 0 squared equals 3 squared. Or we can shorten that up to look like that. Okay, so this one over here has a center at 2, negative 3, right there, and a point on the circle at 2, 1 up here. So if that's a point on the circle, that's basically saying that this distance is my radius, which if you count it is 4. Okay, so my circle is going to kind of go around like that best I can. So then we know that the center, x minus 2 squared and y plus 3 squared, and then that radius squared would be 4 squared, which you can simplify to 16. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so a regular hexagon, which you can see with a side length of 4, okay, so these are all 4, is centered at 5, 3. State the general equation of the circle circumscribing the hexagon. Okay, so that means that we've got a circle. When we circumscribed, it means it touches every single one of those guys like that. All right, so radius is going to go out like that. Okay, we know that one is going to be the same thing. Well, if the sides are 4 and it's a hexagon, Remember, a hexagon was just made by using equilateral triangles. So if that side is 4, these are all 4. So that's basically saying the radius of the circle that went around it would also be 4. And so that would mean x minus 5 and y minus 3. Done. Okay, so hopefully that helps explain that answer.